सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। Hरि Om. Salutations to all. So we are seeing the avatars that Brahmaji is describing.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
I just was reading the Puranic encyclopedia, and it said that Rasatal is the seventh thing of. It says Rasatal is the seventh stratum of the earth. Seventh. So I was. Hello.
What is the source given there?
Source is Udyog Parv, chapter 102, verse 1.
So I don't know who has said it in that, but
Yeah.
Puranas, they describe Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala and Patal. These are 7 lokas.
Yeah.
So I don't know in what context Mahabharata is saying that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the different avatars that we were seeing, we have come up to, we did the Vaman avatar and then we also did the Hamsa avatar and Manvantar avatar. So until verse 20. Then verse 21, in that we see here now that Bhagavan manifests as Dhanvantari. Dhanvantarischa Bhagavan Swayameva Kirti Namna Nrinam Pururujam Ruja Ashu Hanti Yagnecha Bhagavatam Ritayu Yagnecha Bhagam Amritayuhu Avavarundha Ayuscha Vedam Anushastya Vatirya Loke. So he takes up the form of Dhanvantari. Now Dhanvantari has 2 avatars. 2 avatars meaning there are 2 aspects of Dhanvantari. One is during the Samudra Manthan, Dhanvantari came out, that is the avatar of the Lord, bringing out the nectar. And in the Puranic encyclopedia, the description is given that Dhanvantari, he prays to Lord Vishnu. Vishnu gives him the name Abja because he is born from the oceans. And he says that you will not be called as a Devata, but you will be born on the earth again. That's why they have written here King of Kashi. So you will be born on earth again. And as Dhanvantari there, you will be the teacher of Ayurveda also. He will write a treatise on Ayurveda, dividing it into 8 parts and all that. So that's why he says here that, see, some of these avatars, we have to understand they are not Bhagavan directly, like how we see Ram avatar, Krishna avatar in those sense. These are called Amsha. So one part of Bhagavan's glory will be there in them. And so Dhanvantari is like that. The deity of medicine, the deity, the originator of Ayurveda. And so that's what he says. He won the rank of immortals and got a share of the sacrificial offerings. Then So it is he who taught Ayurveda, the science of healthy and long life. When he is born as the, what do you call it? Then as a king on the earth. As a Devata, when he is born, when he is created from the ocean, that whole Samudra Manthan, etc. that happened, he asks the Lord for a share of the Yajna Bhaga. But Bhagavan says, you are yourself the Devata who has come with the Amrit. So in this, you will not be able to take, but you will be born again on the earth. And there, all this, Ayurveda, he will write and he will be a king. And then from there, he becomes an immortal deity. So he won the rank of immortality. He gets the sthan of a Devata after being born as a king. Then Bhagavan is, the next avatar of Bhagavan is as Parshuram. So when this Kshatriya race becomes very arrogant and they stop protecting the Brahmanas and they do not follow Dharma also, they become very arrogant and they abandon the path of Dharma, then Bhagavan comes in the form of Parshuram and he destroys 21 generations of these adharmic Kshatriyas. Please remember, dharmic Kshatriyas, the Bhagavan doesn't do anything. These adharmic Kshatriyas who have left Dharma and who do not protect the Brahmanas. By the meaning of Brahmanas, it means that Brahmanas are the ones who are engaged in the study and the sharing of knowledge of Dharma. And so through that, the entire society, the Dharma doesn't get protected. Then those adharmic Kshatriyas, Bhagavan comes as Parshuram and he destroys them. Now in this context, Akhandanandji has written a very nice, he has given a very nice point here. I just want to mention that here. धर्म की रक्षा करने वाले लोग ज्ञान की रक्षा करने वाले को ज्यादा महत्व नहीं देते और ज्ञान की रक्षा करने वाले धर्म की रक्षा करने वाले को ज्यादा महत्व नहीं देते. यह तो पार्टी बंदी की बात हो गई. असल में सब ईश्वर के ही रूप है. वही धर्म की, ज्ञान की, प्रेम की, भक्ति की, तपस्या की, सबकी रक्षा कर रहे हैं. वही परशुराम होकर उद्दंड और पापाचारी क्षत्रियों का संहार करते हैं. So this is an important point here, that those who are the protectors of Dharma are supposed to be the Kshatriyas, the leaders. Those who are supposed to be protectors of Dharma are supposed to be Brahmanas. Both must respect each other and support each other. If the Brahmanas become arrogant and say that, these are all lower than us and who are these Kshatriyas and all that, then they will not be able to protect their Jnana also. And if the Kshatriyas become very arrogant, that, we are truly the protectors, we are the most powerful, who are these people, and they don't follow Dharma, then that will lead to their downfall also. So each one must respect and support the other. And in that, the whole society becomes strong. In fact, all the four Varnas must respect and support each other. There is no doubt. But in this context here, Parshuram avatar is to destroy the adharmic Kshatriyas. Then Bhagavan takes form as the Ram avatar. So this 23, 24, 25, they explain this whole Ramayana as though in a gist. So Bhagavan is born in this Ikshvaku Vamsha, and along with his part manifestations. Who are the part manifestations? Bharat, Lakshmana and Shatrugna. Ikshvaku Vamsha avatirya Guror Nideshe Tishtan Vanam Sadaitanuja Avivesha Yasmin Virudhya Dashakandhara Arti Archat. So now Bhagavan listened, having got the directions from his guru and as well as his father, the promise of his father to keep up that. He goes into the forest with Sita ji and with Lakshman ji. And there, you see, it is interesting is this written in future tense. Bhagavan will, you see. With the Lord of Maya, take descent in the line of Ikshvaku. And then he says, there the 10-headed monster will make him his enemy and come to grief. When Sri Rama reaches the seashore, then like how Shivji burnt the Tripurasura, the 3 cities, Tripurasura is one who lives in 3 cities. And when these 3 cities align at a particular point in time in the whole cycle of creation, that time only he can be killed. So Shivji killed Tripurasura like that. So that is a reference given here. That like Hara, how Shivji destroyed the Tripurasura's 3 puras, 3 cities. In that way, Bhagavan will be fuming with anger to destroy this Lanka and to rescue Sita ji. So the oceans will give way and Bhagavan will cross. And then this Ravana who had conquered all these directions. So the reference given here is that, in his fight with Indra, Ravan had actually as though broken the tusks of the elephant Airavata. And with those, the white dust of his tusk, the whole quarters were filled, and as though Ravan became victorious. So that's why that mighty powerful Ravan, who had won all the quarters, who had won the Devatas and Indra especially, Bhagavan will kill him and all his pride, everything, with the mere twang of his bow, meaning effortlessly he will just destroy this so-called powerful Ravana who has defeated everybody. So that will happen. So that will happen, meaning possibly that Brahmaji is narrating this to him, to Naradji, maybe before the avatar of Ram Bhagavan. In Treta Yuga, he may be narrating this. In Treta Yuga or before Treta Yuga, before Bhagavan Ram's avatar, he may be narrating. So that's why possibly he is saying will. Then Krishna avatar. So this whole Krishna avatar will come in Bhagavatam in detail. Here he gives it in very brief. The heart of this Bhagavatam is supposed to be the Krishna avatar. So anyway, we will be seeing it in the detail there. Here, just in dots and dashes, the whole thing is given. So he says that Bhagavan will be born as Balram and Shri Krishna. Now it's very interesting. Many people, they ask that who is an avatar? Is Balram an avatar or Buddha is an avatar? Now in Bhagavatam, in this chapter itself, both are called as avatar. And that's why you see, we get confused when we think there are only 10 avatars and now we try to fit everything in that 10. But Bhagavan has so many avatars. 10 is okay, some compilation, somehow it has happened. But if you go by that, then the 8th avatar is Balram, then 9th avatar is Krishna, and 10th becomes, it will be Kalki. In this listing, there is no such numbering. So Bhagavan is born as Balram first, and then as Krishna, and then Buddha also will come, and then Kalki is yet to come. So we don't have to worry about fitting this either Balram or Buddha. It can be both. Why not both? Bhagavan can take as many avatars as he wants. It is his creation. Who are we to fit it only inside this 10? So it is said that the Devatas and Brahmaji and all of them, they went to Vishnu Bhagwan and said that, the demons and all of these wicked people, they are terrorizing this whole earth and we need your support. Please help. So that's what it says. Bhumehe Sure Taravarutha Vimarditayaha Klesha Vyayaya Kalaya Sita Krishna Keshaha. Sita Krishna Kesha. So when they went to Bhagavan with this plea that, there is so much of adharma happening, please protect us, Bhagavan plucked one hair, Sita and Krishna. So gray and black. And those became Balram and Krishna. See, here it is said that it is the hair, okay? But don't think that it is one small hair of Vishnu that Krishna is there. He himself is fully there. In the footnote, they have clarified that. By speaking of Sri Balram and Sri Krishna as representing the Lord's hair, Brahma means to say that a single hair, the minutest fraction of the Lord, is enough to relieve to earth's burden. The statement is further intended to indicate the fair and dark complexion of Sri Balram and Sri Krishna respectively. In reality, however, Sri Krishna is the integral divinity, the Lord himself. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So these analogies have a certain meaning, a certain context. One should not pull it out of context saying, see, Krishna is only one small hair of Vishnu. Vishnu is greater than Krishna. All that division our human intellect wants to make just to push some point that we have in our head. Bhagavan is, remember what we said in the beginning, avatar of Bhagavan means Bhagavan is Purna only. So there is no avatar of Bhagavan which is Apurna, because Bhagavan himself is Purna. But in which avatar, how much kala he manifests, what he does, whether and how long it is, all those are dependent on the circumstances. That doesn't make any avatar greater or lesser than the other, because it is same Bhagavan only. It's just like an actor, the actor is the same. In some he has the main role, in some he has a small role, in some he has a villain also. So that is as per the script, as per the play, whatever that is. So in the same way here. So now Krishna and Balram, they are the two avatars. And what happens there? Here, especially in this Krishna avatar, we find Bhagavan doing all miracles. In the sense that as a small child, he does so many things which no ordinary child can do. As Ram, he did not do any of those miracles. He lived as a normal child only. Just a few here and there. Like Bhagavan Ram also showed the Vishwarupa, a Virat Roop to Yashodaji in his mouth. Same way Krishna Bhagavan also showed. But those are very few. But a lot of those miracles are done here by Sri Krishna. Because in Krishna avatar, he doesn't hide his godly powers. That's why Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. But Ram avatar, he took the Manushya avatar. So as Manushya how to live, then he is showing that. So then, so what are the leelas that he does in the Krishna avatar? A quick mention is given here, one by one. So Putana, he takes the life of Putana. He is a small child, 6 months old child at that time, and this Putana comes to kill him, and Bhagavan takes away her prana as a newborn child, not even 6 months. Here it is said of less than 10 days old. That is Putana. Then he turns the Shakatasura. So Shakatasura, he comes there in the form of a cart. Shakata is cart. So he turns that cart upside down with his foot while he's 3 months old. And this Yamalarjuna, these are the two trees they are actually devatas who got cursed to become this Yamalarjuna trees, and they have like a V shape. And that Ulukha Bandhan Leela happened where Bhagavan is tied to the, I don't know what you call it. Ulukha means what? Mortar, vessel, whatever that mortar. And he drags it, and that gets stuck between the two trees, and then in trying to pull it out, the trees get uprooted. And these divine beings, Yamalarjuna, they are released from their curse. So then that is the Ulukha Bandhana. Then yes, so then he says ki these are the feats that cannot be conceived by anyone else except than the Lord. That Bhagwan only can do all this. No small ordinary child can do this. Then he brings back to life the cattle of Vraja because they have drunk the poisonous water of Yamuna. They all have died. So Bhagwan revives all of them, and also then Kaliya Mardan Leela happens. Then the same night, the forest catches fire. When the whole Vraja is asleep, this whole forest catches fire, and Bhagwan saves all of them from death. Then comes the so for Yashoda ji, Bhagwan shows the whole universe in his mouth, and as he yawns, he shows. Here he is given as he yawns. Maybe in Bhagavata ahead it will come. I have not read that yet, but what we have heard about is that he has eaten mud. And so Mother Yashoda tells him to open his mouth. And there she sees this whole cosmos inside his mouth. Here it said as he yawns. And so she will be filled with dismay. And then she understands that he is the Supreme Lord himself. He will rid the father Nanda Baba from this python and Varunapash. The fear of this python and Varunapash, he will rescue. And also this Gopas who are shut in this cave by this Vyoma, Mayadana's son. So he rescues them also. Some of these details, as we go along in the Bhagavatam, it should come. He will take to his own abode, Vaikuntha, the people of Gokul. So all these Gokulvasis are taken on a tour to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha Yatra happens. Even though they remain working day, meaning they are working full day and then they just fall asleep. They are so exhausted and tired, meaning they don't have that much time to sit exclusively and do any puja, bhajan, japa, etc. But their actions are dedicated to the Lord. So how Bhagwan very compassionately he takes them to Vaikuntha. That Vaikuntha Yatra is explained here. Then Govardhan Leela happens, where he lifts the whole Govardhan mountain on his small finger for 7 days. He humbles the pride of Indra and also makes people understand that all around is the appearance of the Lord only. And the mountain, Govardhan, is the one who is nourishing them, sustaining them, so worship that mountain. Then Rasa Leela. So this Rasa Leela happens where Bhagwan is playing the flute in the Sharad Purnima time, and these gopis, they all come into the forest and the Rasa Leela happens. Actually, Rasa Leela is also beautiful symbolism, and how the gopis, their possessiveness, Bhagwan takes away. Because each gopi feels so happy that Krishna is with me only. And Bhagwan, first he was in the center, then he's playing with everybody. So each gopi is thinking Krishna is with me. Then suddenly Bhagwan disappears and all these gopis are in pain and they realize their mistake. And that Leela is meant for so many deep aspects, How people just perverted minds, they destroy the whole bhav of that Rasa Leela and anything nonsense they speak about Rasa Leela. That is to say, consciousness enlivens every thought. All thoughts are, as though they dance around the consciousness alone. Without that, they can't live. They can't exist. Thoughts can't even exist. So gopis, they really ask for forgiveness of the Lord that, our attention shifted from you to us. How deep it is that from Bhagwan, when the attention comes back to the Jiva, Aham, Bhagwan disappears. Kabir Das ji said, no? जब हम हैं तब गुरु नहीं, जब गुरु है हम नाही, प्रेम गली अति साकरी, तामे दो न समाही. The same thing applies to Bhagavan, that when I am there, God is not there. When God is there, I am not there. Because love is like that. Identification with the beloved, where the two become one. And so that is the beauty of Ras Leela, to show the ultimate bhav of Sharanagati and surrender, and how the gopis are actually the highest example of bhakti. In the Narad Bhakti Sutra, it is said that only. When Naradji has to give any examples of great devotees, he says, Yatha Vraja Gopikanam, like the gopis of Vrindavan, of Vraj. There is no devotee greater than the gopis of Vrindavan. The devotees of Krishna especially. So that is Ras Leela. And here, he says that along with that Ras Leela, the Shankachuda, who is the attendant of Kubera, he comes and he as though carries away the gopis, and Bhagavan kills him. So in the footnote they have said that Brahmaji, footnote is very interesting if you see here. He said that although the incident connected with Shankachuda did not occur the very night the famous Rasa dance took place, the two events have been promiscuously joined together, apparently because Brahma is making only a passing reference to the pastimes of the Lord and is not so attentive to details. So commentators have found that Brahmaji was also not accurate. He is quickly mentioning all this. So Brahmaji has also mixed up some details. He was not very particular, because these two Leelas didn't happen at the same time. And that is what we see in the detailing of Bhagavatam. When we see Rasa Leela, nothing of the Shankachuda will come there. So anyway, so that is the a different Leela that happened, Shankachuda's Leela. And then so many of these demons, Pralambasur and Dhenakasur, and then Vaka, Keshi, Arishta, then Chanura, then that elephant, the drunk elephant who was sent to kill Krishna and Balram, Kuvalayapida, then Kamsa, then Kalayavan, then Narakasur, Poundrak, who attached two artificial limbs to appear as Vishnu, and to make people think that Poundrak is as powerful as Krishna. Look at the delusion, how people think. By attaching to artificial limb, he thought he will become equal to Krishna. So that Poundrak was also killed. And then all this, Shalva, Dvivida, Balvala, Dantavakra, then the 7 bulls of Nagnajit, then Shambhara, then Vidhurtha and Rukmi, the king of Kambhojas, the Matsyas. Now all these, they are killed by Bhagwan through the Mahabharat war. Some of these are killed by Bhagwan through the Mahabharat war also, or through the whole Mahabharat in that sense. This Poundrak and all that story comes in the Mahabharat. So he kills many of these. So will be slain by Sri Hari himself under the assumed names of Balram, Arjun, Bhim and so on, and attain to his divine abode. So this is in short the Krishna avatar. That in this avatar, Bhagavan did all these things. He destroyed so many demons. Now, if you see, yuga-wise, the amount of people Bhagavan has to kill it keeps increasing only. In Satyug, that Hayagriva and all that. Then Treta Yug, Bhagavan killed this Ravan and all the other demons through the forest when he went for the Vanvas. In Dwapar, you look at the number of the demons he has killed, so many of them. These are only dots and dashes mentioned. There will be so many others who are there whom he has killed and destroyed. So then imagine in Kali Yuga how many he has to destroy. So many more he'll have to destroy. So after Krishna avatar now comes the Veda Vyasa avatar. Please remember I said before also, the sequence need not be this. There is a mentioning by Brahmaji possibly in this way, but need not be that this is alone the sequence. So here he takes avatar as the Veda Vyasa who brings the Veda from the oral tradition to the written tradition. Why? Because Kalena Malitadhiyam Avamrishya Nrinam Stokayusham Swanigamo Bata Dura Paraha. Because the intellectual capacities of human beings will become lesser and lesser. It will become more dim. And their life will also become short. So there's not enough time to study the whole Veda, then to remember. And if the lifespan becomes short, then of course, if the Vedas are not studied and passed on to the next generation, then the knowledge is lost. So memory is also weak. The intellectual capabilities of Vivek and of alertness, etc., they are also weak. And then the lifespan also is short. So considering all that, then he wrote down the Vedas. And so he manifests through Satyavati. Satyavatyam Vedadruma Vitapasho Vibhajishyati Sma. He writes down the Vedas and then he divides the Veda also. So we know Rig, Yajo, Sama, Atharva. All these are the Vedas. Each Veda also he divides. So the example given here is the Vitapasho. The tree of the Veda, he divides that tree. Which means to say what? Veda is only one. There are not 4 Vedas. As books, there may be 4 divisions, but Veda is actually one. Then this 37th one is the reference to Buddha. Now you see here, Devadvisham Nigama Vartmani Nishthitanam Purbhir Mayena Vihita Bhiradrishya Turbhihi Lokan Gnatam Mativimoha Matipralobham Vesham Vidhaya Bahubhashyata Aupadharmyam. This Vesham Vidhaya Bahubhashyata Aupadharmyam, that indicates Buddha. So he says that when the demons, though devoted to the path of the Vedas, will destroy the people with their citadels of invisible velocity built by Maya, the Lord will assume a garb that will delude their mind and prove most alluring to them and teach them many a hearsay, many a heresy. So directly the word Buddha is not there anywhere in this. And when we read this by itself, we feel, what is this? This is talking about some demons and all. But please remember, demons are not only the demons who live in the netherworlds, but demon means even those are referred to here who are devoted to the path of Vedas, but they swerve. Sometimes they won't accept also. Like the non-believers, some of them, they may have studied Veda, but they will still be non-believers. Some may not have studied Veda, some will still be non-believers. And many of the students of Veda themselves will not follow the Veda in its spirit, which is what happened in the time of Buddha. See, Buddha is actually a Hindu in that context, that he is born to King Shuddhodhan, who is a Hindu king of this Shakya Pradesh. And he has studied Veda also, but maybe he was not taught properly. And also the degradation of the Hindu culture had happened at that point in time, where there was a lot of exploitation in the name of castes, a lot of animal sacrifices, sectarianism, blind ritualism, exploitation in the name of the rituals. Those things were there, and that Prince Siddharth, his mind was anyway very, very sensitive. And he was anyway kept in a very protected way, so that he should not see any dukkha, he should not see any disease, sorrow, and vairagya should not come into his mind, he should not hear about death, all that. So obviously now his mind, when he sees a few things, is not capable of handling or even analyzing so deeply why this happened, because he is not familiar only with this certain way of the world. He has been shielded and protected. So he himself was not very happy with this, the way the Hindu culture was, at the degradation at that time was. So he walked out of Hinduism. And he said, I don't want any of this. And he did not deny the Veda, nor did he support the Veda. Same way he did not deny God, nor did he support God. He kept silent. But because he kept silent, people thought he is against the Veda, against God also. And so people think that he is like that. In Bhagavatam, this is the reference to Buddha is here, because by walking out of this Sanatan Dharma, he made people think also that what kind of Sanatan Dharma are we following? And he's established the path of the middle path, and then the path of compassion, and the Sakshi Bhav and all those things. And actually what he spoke, how he lived, is very different from what people practice today. So every culture goes through decadence. Hindu culture also has gone through decadence. Buddhism also went through decadence. That's when Shankaracharya ji came and revived again the Hindu culture. Because when Shankaracharya ji came, that time Hinduism also was at its low, Buddhism was also at its low. And complete intellectual directionlessness in the whole society. At that time he comes and he revives Advaitic philosophy, and the whole Sanatan Dharma gets rejuvenated again. So many people ask, why is Buddha considered avatar? See, avatar does not have to follow our rules. No? That's why we are saying from the beginning that we have many conditionings about avatar. So we think that Bhagavan should remain inside the dharma only and protect dharma. And Bhagavan should only kill some of the unrighteous people. And Bhagavan should then give Upadesh through the Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge he should give, even it can be through like Gita, etc. But in the traditional way, that is a limitation we are superimposing on the Lord. Avatar happens for Dharma Samsthapana. What is Dharma Samsthapana? We have seen earlier. Dharma Samsthapana doesn't happen just by starting some new religion. Buddha felt the need for starting the new religion, so he started. But Dharma Samsthapana is to bring back the vision of oneness, that we all are essentially one. Then it is a vision of love. It is a vision of values and duties. That is called Dharma Samsthapana, which Buddha did. Whether people followed after him or not, that is a completely different issue. But that is what Buddha did. So that's why he says that Vesham Vidhaya Lokan Ghnatam Mati Vimoha Mati Pralobham Vesham Vidhaya Bahubhashyata Aupadharmyam. Actually, by saying Aupadharmyam, in one way it is an indication that it is offshoot of Sanatan Dharma only. But I mean, Buddhism, they may not believe in that, because they feel that there are many Buddhas who have come before him. So Buddhism was not founded by Buddha itself, by himself. So that is a different line of thought that they have. And Asit Muni is one who had predicted that he will become a great monarch and all that. So and there are signs of his being an enlightened being on his body, and his birth itself is very divine. So that there is a whole different way the Buddhist description of the life of Buddha is. But the fact is still that he was born to a Hindu king only. And when he was there, that time the Buddhism was nowhere there in this country. So in that sense, we can say he is the founder of Buddhism of that time. Like we cannot say Advaita, Shankaracharya ji is the founder of Advaita. That is wrong, because Advaita is there in the Veda. But he is the champion of Advaita, because he is the one who revived Advaita from what it had fallen to. So in the same way, one may say that Buddha is a champion of Buddhism. That is perfect, that is proper. So now the beautiful aspect of this is what? That we don't have a problem as a Hindu, Buddhists. If Buddha is an avatar of the Lord Vishnu, we don't have any problem. And just imagine what is the beauty of this, that as an avatar of Vishnu, he kept silent on the existence of God and on the Veda. He must have thought that already there is enough confusion. If I speak something more confusion, so he kept quiet. That also people made it, they got confused. They thought he doesn't believe in Veda, he doesn't believe in Ishvara. So anyway, so this is that's why I'm saying this chapter gives us both. Balram is also avatar of Buddha, of Bhagwan, and Buddha also is avatar of Bhagwan, both. So we don't have to think which one, either of them only. No, both are. Bhagavatam is saying that. And then Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, what will happen? At the end of Kali Yuga, please remember, so many people keep asking, has Kalki Avatar happened? Has Kalki Avatar happened? It has not happened. As per Bhagavatam, I am saying. What is Bhagavatam saying? At the end of this Kali Yuga, this will happen. Yugante, you see, Kaler Bhagavan Yugante, that 38th verse, the last line says that. Bhagavan Yugante, end of Kali Yuga. Right now, so we are in the beginning part of Kali Yuga. 4 lakh, some 29,000 years more to go. 29,000 plus some years to go. By that time, Kali Yuga will happen. Kalki Avatar will happen. So you rest assured, in your lifetime, this is not going to happen in this Janma. If we have many more Janmas to take, then if we have that time we will come, then that time Kalki Avatar, we may have darshan of Kalki Bhagavan. Otherwise, there is no Kalki Avatar, and if any fellow is posing as Kalki at this moment, is a fraud. There is no Kalki Avatar happened as per Bhagavatam, I am saying. Bhagavatam is very clearly saying, Yugante, it will happen. At the end of this Kali Yuga, when there is no discourses on Shri Hari, even in the residence of pious souls, meaning people have all abandoned satsang, when the Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishya will turn heretics, they will become non-believers, they will not respect the Dharma and Shastra, and the Shudras will become rulers of men. When the uttering of Swaha, Swadha and Vashat will be heard no more. These are things we do in the rituals, Swaha. So the clarification is given here. The words Swaha and Vashat are uttered when offering is made to the gods, while oblation that is offered to the Pitras is accompanied by the utterance of the word Swadha. So when none of means no rituals are being done, when the dharma is not being followed, when there is no satsang that is happening, then the Lord will appear as Kalki. So na harehe kathaha Sihu Pakhandino Dvijajanaha Vrishala Nrudevaha Swaha Swadha Vashad iti Smagiro Nayatra Shasta Bhavishyati Kaler Bhagavan Yugante. Then Bhagavan will come. So now these are the various avatars of this Lord. And then the glory of this Lord is being described, that Bhagavan's glory and his Maya, nobody knows. So he says, it is the same Lord of infinite powers who manifests the glories of his Maya in the form of austere penance. And who all don't know him, they are all exalted beings. He says, myself, Brahma, the 9 seers who are the Lord of created beings at the time of creation. Then in the form of Dharma. Then Lord Vishnu means the deity who presides over sacrifices. Then the 14 Manus, the immortals, the Devatas, the rulers of the earth at the time of preservation and in the form of Adharma. Then Hara, that is Lord Shiva, and all the Nagas, the class of serpents known by the name of Manyu Vasas. Manyu Vasas and demons at the time of dissolution of the universe. He says, even all of them cannot know what is the power of Bhagwan and his Maya. So he says, what man gifted with insight in this world could catalog the powers of the Lord, even though he might have counted all particles of dust on the earth? Meaning he may be such a great person who has achieved the impossible, counting every particle of dust on the earth. But if all these divine people and divine beings, they cannot know, on this earth, who will know? Then we go to this 42nd one. That's a very nice one. 42nd shloka. So where he says this, Yesham sa eva bhagavan dayayedanantaha sarvatmanashrita pado yadi nirvyalikam te dustaramati taranti cha deva mayam naisham mamahamiti dhi swashrugala bhakshye. Who crosses this Maya? Yesham sa bhagavan dayayed anantaha. On whom the grace of the Lord falls. Sarvatmana, in all ways, who has ashrita padaho, who has surrendered to the Lord. Yadi nirvyalikam, and whose heart is free from desires. Te dustaram, meaning they cross this Maya, which is extremely difficult to cross. Atitaranticha devamayam. Devamayam dustaram atitaranticha. They cross this most difficult to cross Maya of the Lord. And what is that Maya actually? Mama and Ahamdhi. They have gone beyond I and mine. And what do they think about the body? Shvashrugala bhakshye. This body is meant to be the food for the jackals. So that is the translation here. Dogs and jackals. Shvashrugala bhakshye. So they don't think of their body as themselves. They think of this body as it's just made up of 5 elements. It will become food for the dogs and jackals. I am not this. I am the Amsha of the Lord. I surrender to that Lord. The Lord alone is supreme. So Aham and Mama, they give up. We have Aham in this body and Mamata around the objects and the people that we have. He says those who give up that completely, they will become one with the Lord. And they will be the one who will cross this Maya. So now all this description of avatar, etc. was given for us to come to this state, Ashrita Pado and Nirvyalikam. When one surrenders to the Lord completely and who becomes free from desires, who gives up this I and mine in the body and the things around, that person becomes one with the Lord. So then he says, he gives a list of lot of these devotees. So many devotees names are given here from 43 onwards. He says, I who know the wonderful creative energy of that supreme being, and so do you and your elder brothers. Then Shiva, Prahlad, Swayambhu Manu, Shatrupas, the wife of Manu is Shatrupa, and then their sons, daughters, Prachina Barhi, Ribhu, Anga, Dhruva, then the Ikshvaku Raja, Pururava, Muchkunda, Videha, Gadhi, the father of Vishwamitra, then Raghu, Ambarish, Sagara, Gaya, Yayati, and kings like Mandhata, Alarka, Shatadhanu, Anu, Rantideva, Devavrata is Bhishma, then Bali Raja, then Amurtaraya, and Dilip, then sages, Shaubhari, Uttanka, Devala, Pippalada, Saraswata, Parashara, kings like Shibi, Bhurisen, and Uddhav, Vibhishan, Hanuman, Upendra Datta, Arjun, Arishtasena, Vidur, Shrutadeva, they all know his Maya. Meaning, these are all the devotees who are Ananya Bhaktas of the Lord. That's what it means. Because he said, na, those who surrender to him, they will know. They will cross over Maya and they will know him. These are the names of the devotees. Each of these devotees are devotees who have surrendered to Bhagavan. And so he says that those who do this, they will attain. Now here it is said, women, Shudras, Hunas, Shabaras, and any of those leading sinful life, even lower animals as birds and beasts who have been taught to imbibe the virtues of the Lord's devotees, much more those who follow the teachings of the Vedas are able to realize the true nature of the Lord's Maya and they cross the same. Now suddenly you say, what is this? Women and Shudra is written here. Please remember earlier we said, no, women means the mind. Nobody is talking about only gender. Whoever's mind is very attached and whosoever mind is on the body alone, they are called women and Shudra. If we just go by the physical appearance and say this person born in Shudra caste is a Shudra and this person born in woman's body is a woman, then that is a wrong interpretation. Shastra speaks to the mind. So he says all of these people who are highly attached, people who have body identification, and even he says lower animals as birds and beasts. Like you see the example of that Jada Bharat, he became a deer in before life. So, but he's a very evolved jiva. So the point here is that even all of these birds and beasts, etc., they will also, if they follow this path of the devotees, meaning if they surrender to the Lord, they will also get across the Maya of the Lord. And then the next part he comes. So the Maya of the Lord, how to surrender, and then the devotees who have surrendered and those who have not, if they follow that path, they will also reach that. And then he says that the substance of the Supreme Spirit is ever most serene and free from fear and of the nature of absolute consciousness. Meaning, Bhagwan remains unaffected. Like we see, Brahman is, in Vedanta we know, Brahman is untouched by Maya. Maya dare not overpower Brahman or influence Brahman. It is an explanation given for us who are seeing creation. Otherwise, from Brahman's standpoint, Maya does not even exist. The world also does not exist. So he says it is that Shashvat Prashantam Abhayam Pratibodha Matram Shuddham Samam Sadasata Paramatma Tattvam Shabdona Yatra Purukarakavan Kriyartho Maya Paraityabhimukhe Chavilajyamana. So he says here that that Supreme Spirit is untainted by Maya and has no dualities, no diversities, beyond real and unreal. So real and unreal is again Buddhi's concept. That which is beyond Buddhi is beyond real and unreal. Beyond the reach of words, beyond all the fruits of actions, which is attained as a result of diverse course of discipline. All the sadhanas, etc. also produce limited result. He is beyond all that. Even Maya, who is ashamed to stand before it, flees away from its presence. Meaning, It's a poetic way to say that in that absolute consciousness, there is no Maya, there is no creation, nothing. That is the absolute state which one will realize if one follows this. Surrender to that Lord, cross over Maya, then understand that I and you are one. That is the basic point here, that the Bhakta will realize that there is only Bhagavan, there is no Maya, there is no Jiva, there is no creation, there is nothing. He says that Tadvai Padam Bhagavata Paramasya Pumsaha. See that. That is the supreme state of the Lord, which is the nature of the devotee, Pumsaha. So that is the essential character of the Lord, the supreme person, which the wise realize as Brahma. Meaning the seeker will realize this state. Brahmeti yad vidurajasram sukham vishokam is absolute bliss beyond all shoka. Sadhyanga niyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim jahyuhu swaradiva nipana khanitram indraha. So he says that having fixed their mind on him, the ascetics neglect even the means. See, this is the glory of bhakti here. Those who have fixed the mind on the Lord, they neglect even the means of liberation, of self-knowledge. So having fixed their mind on him, ascetics neglect even the means of discarding the notion of difference, that is self-knowledge. So those who contemplate through the self, contemplate on the self, they discard all duality. So contemplation is the means to discover non-dual state. Here he says the ascetics, they fix their mind on Bhagavan and they drop even self-knowledge. Meaning their effort, see, contemplation is one's own effort. Here to praise bhakti, it is said the yogis surrender to the Lord and they fix the mind on the Lord, then they drop contemplation also. And the example given here is just as Indra, being himself the god of rains, has no use for a spade which is employed in digging wells. Sometimes it may feel that this is an insult of, Jnana Marga. But we should not take it like that. It's not an insult. Of what use Indra has of, a spade to dig the earth? He is himself god of rains. Then why will he want to dig the earth to fetch some water from the earth? In that same way, why should some devotee do contemplation on Brahman when he can fix the mind on Bhagavan and realize the Supreme and go beyond Maya? This is the stuti of bhakti and the glory of bhakti. And truly speaking, one who is following Jnana Marg will not even feel bad. Why? Because he knows very clearly, he or she knows that Bhagavan only will give this devotee Brahma Jnana finally. So either you go through the path of contemplation, that also happens by grace of Bhagavan, or you go through the path of surrender, that also happens by grace of Bhagavan. So where is just a stuti to make that devotee who surrenders feel that this is the path which will lead you there. See, the same thing is said, next line is said that it is the Lord again who bestows on man the fruits of his action, for it is he who inspires all noble acts that are performed in accordance with the natural disposition of the doer. According to each one's temperament, one has to follow the path. Bhagavan only making them do all this. Even when the body gets dissolved as a result of its constituents in the form of the elements being disintegrated, the unborn spirit dwelling in it does not, any more than the ether interpenetrating it. Meaning death also cannot stop. This person will realize absolute by grace of Bhagavan only. Death also doesn't stop that person, even if the body of that person disintegrates. So this much is the Upadesh of Brahmaji to Naradji. And now what does Brahmaji tell Naradji? He says, you go now, I have taught you about the Lord who creates the universe by his very thought. I have explained, because that's the question Naradji had asked, that what is the power behind you? So he says, whatever is there in this world as cause and effect is all by the grace of that Lord only. And though he is unaffected by any of it, whatever is happening is all by his grace only. Now he says, this is the Bhagavata. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Yanme Bhagavatoditam. This is what Bhagavan taught me, which I am telling you, which I told you. Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam Tvametad Vipuli Kuru. And he says, now you go and share this knowledge. Vipuli Kuru. Share this knowledge with many more people, meaning let people know about the glory of the Lord and surrender to the Lord. Yatha harau bhagavati nrinam bhaktir bhavishyati sarvatmanyakhiladhare iti sankalpya varnaya. You must take a sankalpa. That what should be a sankalpa? That every person must come to this state. That may people have more and more bhakti. Harau bhagavati nrinam. Harau bhagavati bhakti bhavishyati. In the Supreme Lord, may people have more and more devotion. And who is that Hari? Sarvatmani Akhiladhare, who is the support of this whole universe, of all the beings. In that Supreme Lord, may people have more and more bhakti. Take that strong sankalpa. See, any action we do, sankalpa is very important, because sankalpa drives, that is the motivation. And that's why even in puja, before we start the puja, we take sankalpa, because that is the motive behind the puja. The whole action is sustained and obstacles are overcome by the sankalpa shakti. And here it is the subtlest of the things that he has to do. To invoke bhakti in the hearts of people is not so easy. So he says, you take that sankalpa and then varnaya. Then you go and describe the glory of the Lord to people. Mayam varnayato amushya ishwarasyanumodataha shrinvata shraddhaya nityam mayayatma na mushyati. What will happen with that? The person who speaks about the glory of the Lord or approves of another describing it or reverentially hears it described, that person is not deluded by Maya. Mayam varnayato amushya, varnayata, those who are describing or those who are approving what the others are describing. Amushya ishwarasya anumodata, and with lot of joy. Or those who are listening, shranvataha, shraddhaya, with faith. Nityam, constantly. Mayaya atma na muhyati. They will not be deluded by this Maya. So now Bhagavan, Brahmaji has given this mission to Narad Muni, that what he should do, go and share this knowledge more and more with maximum people in the world. So remember, Parikshit Raja, he asked Shukdev ji some questions, and then Shukdev ji is narrating what Brahmaji told Narad ji. So that prasanga Brahmaji and Narad ji ended here. Narad ji asked Brahmaji, Brahmaji replied, all that ends here. We are again back to Parikshit Raja and Shukdev Muni. That we will take up in our next class. Any questions today?
Yes, Swamiji, I have a question. They are saying the body here is made for the dogs and the jackals to be taken now. So in those times, there was no pratha of burning the body?
No, it is not necessary that it is no pratha of burning the body. The dogs and the jackals means what? Many of them, they live even in the forest, no? Okay. People live even in the forest, and the wild animals will just attack, and you can, the people can get killed by them also.
Okay.
So
okay.
It has both the meanings. It is not that body was never burned. Body is definitely burnt. Hindu Shastras, the Vedas itself describe that. Body is there in the Veda also. But what it means to say is that this body is just meant, it is a destructible. It's an expression for that.
Thank you, sir.
Swamiji, so generally what happens, we want, all of us want that everything should be in a sequence. Like we know Dashavatar is in a sequence, right? But in the Bhagavatam, as we have discussed, that it is not coming in any sequence.
Yeah.
So why is it because we don't like God, Lord doesn't want to have that intellectual how Gurudev says that intellectual time pass that we do. Do you think it's any something to relate with that, or it's just written in that way? Like, is this really like the question I sometimes wonder why it's not in a sequence?
See, from my limited understanding, what I feel is that there is, these things about the Leelas of the Lord and avatars of the Lord, which have happened in many, many cycles. Okay.
Okay.
So this is not in one cycle only. We know that this 4 yugas is one Mahayuga, and that is only one day of Brahmaji. Na?
Yeah. Got it.
Are how many yugas, how many things are big?
Okay, so he may be relating from any cycle, so that's why it's not appearing in sequence. Yeah.
It can't appear in a sequence.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. That's why you see the best part is what he concludes this with. What does he conclude with? The purpose of this avatar is go and surrender to Bhagwan's feet and become desireless and drop I and mind. That is all is the main purpose. We may try to put it in a sequence for, let us say, like a Dashavatar concept is a great thing for, for children. We have learned growing Dashavatar, so now we know this 10 avatars and in a particular sequence. So as a memory aid, it is great. But as we grow in Vedanta and in this understanding of Bhagavatam, then we need to outgrow that understanding. I still don't know, because I am also studying, as I told you in the beginning.
Yeah.
I still don't know that whether there is a proper Dashavatar explanation in the rest of the 16 chapters of the Bhagavatam. But from whatever commentary I am reading on these portions, even earlier those avatars of Bhagavan came, even here, in both of these, the commentaries are not saying of any sequence at all. So then I don't know whether maybe Bhagavatam has in some other place the whole sequence of 10.
No, I think Swamiji, the Dashavatar sequence is taken by the Ambar Chitra Katha people. I don't think there is any sequence in the Bhagavatam.
Okay, then possible. So anyway, for what Brahmaji says, that is the best. The idea is to just surrender to Bhagavan.
Yeah.
So Swamiji, in every kalpa, the sequence varies. Of the
There is no
avatars.
sequence.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not necessary that it will go in. Even the yug will be in that sequence. Does it?
No, yug will be in sequence. See, that is the clear Bhagavatam is saying.
Huh,
Earlier it said also the 4 yugas and the sadhanas of 4 yugas also was mentioned. So the yuga concept will come in a sequence only. Satyug, Tretayug, Dwapar Yug, Kaliyug. And specific avatars like Ram and Krishna
will come in the Treta and the
they will
Dwapar
come
Yuga.
in specific times only.
And in Kalyug, Kalki will come, but the other avatars can be shuffled in whatever sequence.
It may come in any sequence, or it may, or maybe it is a sequence. In this sequence, it may happen. So that I am not very sure of, because I don't think there is a linking in this from the beginning to the end. Because he began with Varaha Avatar, no? And then again came to Matsya Avatar, and Matsya Avatar is supposed to be in Satyuga.
Yes.
So that sequencing I am not very sure of, but specific age, specific avatar happens, that is very clear.
Okay.
That possibility is almost same, and maybe in some cycles, certain avatars may not happen and they may be replaced by some others. But certain main avatars may happen, so that also is possible.
So avatars, like you said, they come for one specific purpose, and when that is over, they go away. Like Narsimha avatar, it came only for that one purpose. So those avatars, I think, can come anytime, but the other ones, the main ones, I think would have to come in those yugs only. No?
Yeah, I mean, depends also again.
Yeah.
Narsimha avatar and this Varaha avatar also, it came because this Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are cursed by Jaya and Vijay. No?
Vijay,
So if Rama and Krishna are fixed, then this will also be fixed, because their 3 lives will come in those three specific orders only. So that's why I'm saying some may be fixed, some may not be fixed.
Hmm.
It's very, it is not, we cannot limit avatar. That's what I mean.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Swamiji. Thank you.
Aparna ji?
Yes, Swamiji, besides Ansh avatar or Avesh avatar, all the avatars might not even happen in one particular yuga, na? It must be not all of them happen in that particular yuga. It's just chosen few in
You
particular
are saying yuga meaning you mean one Mahayuga, right? Four
Yeah,
yuga.
yes,
So
yes.
yuga means only one yuga.
No, one yuga I'm talking about.
No, that is called either a kalpa or a Mahayuga.
Kalpa.
Four, huh? Yeah, so not all avatars may happen in one kalpa. That's why I said it may be across kalpas also.
Correct.
So we don't know, that detailing is not here.
So the Avesh avatar must be happening only for that particular reason. So it might not happen again.
No, it can happen if the same lila happens.
So Prahlad also would be in many kalpas?
Possible.
Okay.
That's why because they say that Ramayana happens in every kalpa.
Yeah.
So like that, if they say that there are certain things which happen every time, then those avatars will be constant.
Okay. So Ram Bhagwan and Krishna Bhagwan are the like Purna avatar. I'm talking about Ansh avatar. The Ansh avatar might not be also there. No? Like
No,
we don't know.
How it will not be there, because
Like Avesh avatar, not Ansh, sorry. Avesh avatar.
no, it doesn't. There is no such classification of Avesh avatar will not happen and our Purna avatar will happen. That is no such classification. At least the Shastra is giving.
Okay.
Because if Narsimha avatar has to happen,
Huh.
so if you say Ram avatar is constant, why Narsimha and that will not happen? Because Jaya and Vijay are cursed for 3 births, no?
Yes.
So then Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu also will happen.
Should
So
be
Narsimha
there, yes.
also will happen.
Yeah, should be.
So then it's not about Avesh avatar happens and Purna avatar does not happen or vice versa. None of that. That's why I'm trying to say this, from my understanding, none of this will apply. The best is to just understand that Bhagwan's feet we should just surrender and worship. Because Bhagwan's Leela is Ananta. When he wants to manifest, where, how, for what, that only he knows. If Brahmaji is saying, I also don't know, Maya is saying, Maya cannot even stand in his presence, then how will we even decide? We may try to figure out something, but nothing can be said for certain. We may say this is a possibility, this is also a possibility. It will be like that.
So logic and comprehension actually is not working. You just have to work with devotion.
Exactly. So,
thank you, Swami.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.